I'm slowly replacing myself as CEO of this company, and I started looking. I'm 32 years old now, but about a year ago I was 31, and I started looking. And this is something you're all going to go through at some point, where you tell yourself, okay, I'm 30. I've been doing this for 7 years. And is this what I want to do? Is this if I don't change now, I'm never gonna change. If I don't take another direction at this precise moment, then it's you get into the routine, you get into kids, you get into family, and it's not the time to change anymore. The time to change, you have, like we were saying 4 to 5 years earlier, that the time to experiment. I also took 10, I guess. And even though I knew what I wanted to do, that still comes up. Even if you're 100% sure what you want to do, 10 years later, you get in a situation where you're like, oh, okay, like maybe I need to adjust and figure out what my passion is. Passion has been a huge topic today. So society expects you to be something. Your parents expect you to be something. Social norms, are there to tell you how to behave. And a lot of us are trapped in this, between the rock and the hard place of, this is who I feel I am, this is who I feel I should be, and this is who people are telling me I should be, this is what I feel society is imposing on me. And a very important thing that I was able to discover throughout the years is that the more different you are, the more rare you are. And the more rare you are, the more scarce you are. And the more scarce you are, the more valuable you are. So it's so important to find out what is your competitive advantage, what is your differentiator, what makes you unique. Don't be a sheep. Don't like conform to social norms. Find what your direction is and really go after it, and like challenge the status quo. Like everybody just takes things for granted and just says, oh well, this is how it is and this is how it, therefore that's how it should be. But don't accept anything as ever being good enough, because things can always be improved. So whatever it is, whether it's something you notice, and probably the most important part of this is yourself, right? So you might say, oh, this is how I am, but that's not true. You can always be better. So challenging the status quo really starts within yourself, and once you're able to challenge your own status quo of who you should be and who you are, that's when you can start really bettering yourself. For example, if you have a car and there's a problem with it, but you don't know what the problem is, and you don't know what the tools are to fix your car, well, you're not going to be able to fix it. You're not going to be able to identify what the problem is. But then if you start researching into the fact that, okay, there's a problem. What is the problem? What are the tools? How do I use them? Then once you know what the problem is, what the tools are, and how to use them, then you're able to fix the car. So see yourself and the world around you as the car, and find the tools that you need to fix that car. So we all ask ourselves, what do we want in life? What do we want to be? And for me, after this exploration, it was, I want to be successful and happy, right? But what does that mean? What is it to be successful? Being rich and famous is not being successful. Like, don't kid yourself. Like, that's just fake as fake as it comes. And really success, is that going back to finding who you are truly is like, and is being you and identifying whatever combination of talent that you possess as an individual, and using those to their fullest extent possible. So if you're able to find out what those are and milking the shit out of them, okay, I don't know, am I allowed to swear? Am I not? Okay. So using those to their fullest extent possible, you're going to be successful. If you know what your strengths are and that you're using them. Success is a personal thing. Success is something that happens within you. Success is not something that it's not something that you hear somebody say about you. Like success happens in your heart, and then we get to happiness. What's happiness? Happiness, it's a perspective, right? Happiness, it's how you see the world. You can have, there was this quote. I was unhappy because I had no shoes until I saw I had the blues because I had no shoes until I saw the man who had no feet, right? So it's always a perspective on how you see the world, right? There's always going to be somebody that's technically looks happier, technically richer, technically different, etc. But happiness is something that you could only, it's a perception, of yourself, of your surrounding, and it's something that only exists now. You don't ever say, I'm going to be happy when this. Don't ever say that. Happiness, it happens right now. And you're the only one that's going to control your own happiness. You know, there's a great book that I read, and there's a chapter in that book called I Will Greet This Day with Love in My Heart. And it teaches you how to adjust your perspective and as a reflex towards every single situation that happens in your life. So that when you are confronted with a situation, you teach yourself, you brainwash yourself to react in a certain way automatically. Give you an example. You have the worst day of your life. Your dog dies, you lose your job, I don't know, like you failed the biggest exam of your life, all in the same day. You've never had such a horrible day in your life. Well, let's say that this is the best day of your life, this is the worst day of your life, right? And this is an average day, right down the middle here. Now you just had this day, right? This day here that used to be the median of an average day of your life is now an awesome day, right? So you're like, oh my God, I love this day. This day is so awesome because it allows every single other day of my life that was average before this point in my life to be awesome, right? So it's and this is just an example of brainwashing yourself to adjust your perspective and to make yourself happy, because you're the only one that can control being happy or not. For example, obstacles, right? We all have obstacles in your life, but if you're like, ooh, obstacle, it's a challenge, challenge accepted, right? So if you're able to see your obstacles as a challenge, if you're able to adjust your perspective on everything in life, you'll be happy. I want to talk about time quickly. Time, we're all gonna die way faster than we expect. Like we're young, I'm young, you're younger, but like shit, I'm 32, and like I was at Bishop's yesterday, and like I've done this process, and it goes fast. It goes way faster than you think. So right now, today is the only time you can make a change in your life, and that's always going to be true. So make sure that you don't ever take time for granted and live life as if you think you have 1,000 years to live, because that's not going to happen. Right now is the only thing that's real. It's the only thing that exists. Most of humanity doesn't understand the urgency of life. This is our time. It's our day. It's our generation. We need to make an impact. You need to make an impact, and I'm working every day of my life to try and make that impact as much as I can. We had a topic earlier about failing and about how it's important to fail, and I want to switch that topic towards fear. Right? We're all scared of something, right? And fear. It's if I'm to read you the definition of what fear is a feeling introduced by perceived danger or threat that occurs in certain types of organisms, which causes a change in metabolic and organ functions, and ultimately a change of behavior. Right? So fear is fight or flight. Fear is made like, oh, there's a lion, I better run. Right? So in the evolution of mankind, that's the use of fear is for us to fight or flight. But if we think about fear after the cognitive revolution, where the human being was able to imagine things, now fear has translated into anxiety. Oh, what if, I'm not going to cold call this person because what if he tells me no? Oh, I'm not going to apply for this job because, I might not get in. I might not have the grades, right? I'm not going to start this project because I might fail at this project and I might not be successful. And, I'd rather not do it because I might fail. That's bullshit. Fear is an emotion that was created because of, a reaction of fight or flight towards a lion. And anxiety is fake. I've done a process to get me out of that anxiety. Everybody's anxious a little bit about what the future holds, but it's not real. It doesn't exist. So stop thinking about it and just plunge ahead. Your only limitations are the ones you set up in your own mind or permit others to set up for you. So if you could get rid of that fear and understand where it comes from, then you're able to really move forward much more efficiently. And you have to fail to move forward. That's the only way that you learn. If you've never failed, you've never really tried anything. So failing, you need to accept it. You need to love it. You need to get in bed with it. You need to tell yourself, I love failure. Why? Because failure means that you did something and that you're the next step, right? No is the best answer you could get because you're one step closer to yes. Thomas Edison, right? I think 10,000 times he tried to invent the light bulb. And every time he failed, he rejoiced himself because when he failed, he found another way that it didn't work, right? So for him, he's like, oh wow, okay, that didn't work, awesome, next, right? And that's how eventually he created the light bulb. So the only real failure that exists, it's in the graveyard. It's people that shoulda, coulda, woulda, and never did, right? That's the only real failure that exists. So fear is going to be your biggest obstacle to growth, you know? And growth only comes at the end of your comfort zone. You got to get out of it. You know, if you're comfortable, being comfortable is the worst thing. Alexis said that also. Being comfortable and being content, right? For people like us that are studying business, that are trying to affect change, that should be unacceptable to you. You know, and great men and women are creating turbulent times, you know, and that's out of their comfort zone. That's not a time where they can grow as people and show their strengths.